If you are there, shout amen. Amen. The Bible reads, and he died for all, so that all those who live might live no longer to and for themselves, but to and for him who died and was raised again for their sake. Can we read together, or someone with a different version? 2 Corinthians 5 verse 15. Do I have someone with a different version?
2 Corinthians 5 verse number
subsection 15.
What is yours? Is it amplified?
I don't want to lie.
Let me use King English version and New Living.
Alright. I didn't check. Yes, amplified.
2 Corinthians 5 verse number 15.
Yep.
And he died for all.
Come on, somebody shout, and he died for all.
And he died for all.
That those who live.
Come on, shout, that those who live
might no longer live for themselves, but for him who for their sake died and was raised. The New Living says, he died for everyone, so that those who receive his new life will no longer live for themselves. Instead, they will live for Christ, who died and was raised for them.
Glory be to Jesus, amen. He there is who? He there. Come on, shout.
Jesus.
Jesus Christ, glory be to Jesus. So it's Apostle Paul's rendition and synopsis about Jesus Christ, yet a deeper understanding of Jesus Christ. So I want you to track with me. Lend me your ears. I'm not going to be repetitive today. I will not repeat any revelation, any thoughts. I will be cruising so that I may work within the premises of my time. So if this Apostle Paul was a theologian and a philosopher par excellence. So he had a deeper understanding of the life of Jesus Christ, contrary to the other disciples. You will find out that the other disciples, which we call synoptic gospels, they had a geographical and historical understanding of Jesus Christ. Either they walked with Jesus Christ, but when it comes to the Apostle Paul, he had grace that is superlative that was given by God, to the extent that he started to know things that were not revealed unto other disciples by the reason of the grace that was upon his life. That's why you find out that there was a condition between Peter and Apostle Paul, if you read the book of Acts, because Paul, he used to speak things that was never and that were never mentioned by Jesus Christ, but that was spiritual and philosophical, to the extent that Peter, at one particular time, he called for a meeting with the elders, the likes of James, who was the cousin brother of Jesus Christ, and he said, let's stop Paul. Why? Because some of the things that he speaks, they are psychosomatic. These things, they are not in line with the gospel, because Paul is starting now to introduce the gospel of restitution that was never revealed to the disciples. Introduced the gospel of justification, that we are justified in Jesus Christ. That was never exposed to the disciples. He introduced the gospel of predestinations. That was never revealed unto other disciples. Started now to bring the issues of grace. You know, grace was never really exhausted in the time of Jesus Christ. But Paul, when he's coming now, according to the book of Romans, he spoke a lot about grace. He spoke a lot about the life of Jesus Christ behind the scenes, things that were never exposed to the Sadducees and Pharisees. They knew Jesus Christ as the boy who was 12 years old. He entered the temple. Then he spoke with the elders of the temple, and they were baffled by the wisdom of Jesus Christ. They knew Christ as the man who started ministry at 33 years old. 3 years after he then left the ministry, they knew Christ. But Paul now is bringing the issues of justification, glorification, callings, bringing now again the issues of gifts and callings, then ordering gifts and callings. Paul was not an ordinary person. If you have got time and you want to understand Jesus Christ and the gospel, study the life of Paul. Paul was not an ordinary minister of the gospel. Because Paul, when he entered the city of Corinth, it was just a city that had a lot of confusion. It was a city that had a lot of problems, to the extent that the problems of Corinth made Paul to start a church in Corinth and to write letters in Corinth, first and second, which means if there were no problems in Corinth, Paul was not able to write to the church of Corinth and to establish a church in Corinth. So we thank God for the challenges in Corinth that made Paul to then establish a ministry in Corinth. Then we thank God for the life of the Corinthians